Perfect.
Okay, so we're going to start with designs. So that's the part of Command where you can actually create different types of marketing materials, both for social media and print. So there's postcards in there, there's business card templates, there's a whole lot of different things. But we're going to focus just on a social graphic for a new listing. So from the homepage of Command here, to get to designs, it's the third from the bottom. It's a little paintbrush. And if you click on the KW at the top here, it's going to open that up so you can see what each one means just until you get more comfortable with them. But we're going to go to designs here. Okay. And so now here, if this looks different for you, that's totally fine. This is just going to show what designs you've already created. So if you have used designs before, you're going to see some different things that you've already made. If you don't see anything here, it's just that you haven't created anything yet. So it's the same place for everyone to create a design. So it's just this blue button here at the top. It says create design. So I'm going to click on that. And then when this pops up, you have a few different options. For this training, we're going to do a social graphic. So I'm going to choose social, but there are other types of designs that you can make, which we've done other trainings on as well. So just click on social and then continue, and that's going to load the design editor. Second, there we go. So you can skip through the first section. That's all for the School of Real Estate in the States. So we're going to look at the listing section, which is the second one down here. And there's a whole bunch of different types of templates. So I'm going to do just listed because we're going to pretend this is a new listing that we're running an ad for. But there's a whole bunch of different ones as you go through the process with that listing. So here up at the top, you can see we have a few different sizes as well. So social wide would be more for Facebook. So if I click on that, you'll see it's a little wider, not a square. We do have the square option as well. This is the best one if you are looking to post this in multiple places. Like me, I don't want to recreate the same graphic 3 times for 3 different places. So if you do use a square, that's what's going to fit on like Instagram, on Twitter, on Facebook. Pretty much everywhere that you post it, that will fit without cutting anything off. So it's always a safe bet to go with a square. And then there's also stories, which if you do use Facebook or Instagram, I know YouTube has started using stories as well. And so this is the sizing for posting a story on those platforms. So you can create those in here. We're just going to choose a square just because we're going to be using this for an ad. So now that I've chosen square, there's a whole bunch of different templates. And they're all the same content, just a different design depending on what you're looking for. And it can be fully customized, which we're going to go through as well. So I'm just going to pick a random one. We'll go with this one here. So once you choose one that you want to use, you just click on this red use button. Oh, Flynn, I see your hand up. Do you have a question?
Yeah, so on all of these, what is the marketing stuff that has to be on there?
Yeah, so there's a few things that we'll go through. One is your disclaimer here. So there is that each office is independently owned and operated. I do believe for marketing, and I will double check. It's always good to check with a broker just in case, but it is not intended to solicit anyone currently under contract is what you would put on this. There's a few other sort of core requirements from a broker standpoint that I will have to double check because I don't want to give advice and it be wrong. But generally it's that disclaimer and making sure that the logo is clearly there for KW Select. I know those 2 things for sure. Anything else, definitely check with a broker.
And do we get permission? Do we need to give these, like send these in for permission to be granted to use it to make sure they're okay each time?
Typically with a paid ad, you may want to before you post it, just where you can't really edit it once it's posted. You would basically have to delete it and start from scratch. If you were just posting this as, a graphic on your Facebook page, you're not paying for it, it's just a normal post, you don't really need to go through that process. I mean, technically,
Yeah.
the requirement would be yes, but I think Anne might lose her mind if everyone sent every single Facebook post before they posted it. So something like a Facebook post is very easy to, take down or edit if something was wrong and you need to fix it. But if you're paying for something, it's always good to get it approved and double check just before you post it.
Thanks.
Okay. Dennis?
I'm off mute. Okay. Can that little disclaimer at the bottom that whatever it is, each office is independently owned and operated. Is there a way to have somebody, because I don't know how to do it, to put it on underneath the KW? I know that one says KW DBA, but KW Select Realty, and then that logo, but actually have it so it's automatically in there. So when we upload it, it's with the picture automatically, as opposed to having to add it every time, because that would eliminate some of the forgetting it. And then at the same time, I've never actually added the other one. This is not intended for soliciting, yada yada yada. I've totally forgot about that, other than just having it on the KW website.
Right. So you can't set it to automatically go in. The template's going to pull in just everything from the template, but there is something called, you have your marketing profile. So there is a legal disclaimer, legal footer field in there. And so that will actually pull in, if you go to this text section here in my assets, it's pulling in, see, I have it right here. Each office is independently owned and operated, because that's my legal disclaimer in my marketing profile. So now if I click that, it just pulls it in as a text box. So all you'd have to do is fill that out in your marketing profile, delete the one here, and then just add it from here. That would be the quickest way, instead of having to type it out each time.
And then do you have the other one also in there for not intended for?
I don't know.
So I'd never seen that in my assist. Okay, great. Thanks.
Yeah. All right. So just looking at this graphic, there are a few things that you would want to change. One, the very big one, is the logo. So in here we have KW DBA name, which is just the standard, default logo that they put on all the templates. So you'll need to switch that to the KW Select logo. And so you can get those in our Google Drive. We do have them all available for you. And there is something called an asset library where you can upload different things that you're going to use in multiple graphics. So you can see here I have some logos already preloaded. I didn't have to upload these because I already have them uploaded in my account. So I can show you how to do that at the end if that's something that you want me to go through. But all you would have to do up here is go to images, click add, and then upload that logo file if you haven't done that already. Okay, because I have it here, I'm just going to switch it. So once you do have the logo uploaded, all you have to do is click on the logo on the actual graphic here. So there we go. Just make sure it's only the logo that's highlighted. And then you can come over to the one that you want to use and just click this replace logo button. It looks like a recycle icon. And so when you click that, it just fills in the proper logo in that spot. You can resize it as well, just like that. Okay. Now, the fun part is that this actually connects to the MLS system. So if you are doing this for a listing that is already active, which is why I asked for an active listing, you can actually search for that listing in here and pull in some photos and different details that you want to put on this graphic. So in order to do that, you click on KWLS right here. And so that's the KW listing system. And then you just search for your listing. So I have the MLS number here. So you can search the address, you can search the MLS number. MLS number is typically the best option. Maybe not. There we go. 14 Sheldrake Crescents. That's the one that Lindsay had suggested. So I'm going to click select beside this listing. It'll take a second to load all of the content here, but you'll see we have all of the photos from MLS. So yeah, start to come in. So you can choose what photo from that listing you want. Of course, you want it to be sort of the best selling feature. So if it's really nice on the outside, you'll probably want that to be the main photo. But maybe if they have a really, really nice kitchen and you think that's a huge selling feature, you may want to put that on the graphic. Anything that's going to catch someone's eye and make them want to click on it or get more information about it, that's what you want to use as your main photo. For simplicity, I'm just going to use the main front of the house. So again, to change the photo, same as the logo, you just highlight the photo that you want to change. is this one here. So you just click on it and then click the replace image button, and that's going to sub in that photo. Okay, so I didn't have to upload anything, which is a big time saver. It pulls all that in as long as the listing's active. Now, obviously, if you have something coming up that's not going to work, and you may just need to upload the photo manually, and if it's already pending, then you're not going to be able, you might not be able to find it in the listing service. So we've got the photo there. Then we can click on listing details. And these are all text boxes with various details about that listing that you may want to put on this graphic. So up here we have the street name. This is its own text field. And I can do the same thing as the photo. I just click on it, come over here in the list and find the address, click replace, and so that fills it in. You may want to change the formatting of the text box or what appears there, and so it's very easy to do. We'll just zoom in a little bit so it's easier to see. So on a text box, you have the dots in each corner, and so that if you click and drag, that's what resizes it if you want the text to be bigger. And the little lines on each end of the text box is what allows you to make it longer. So if I don't want to make the text any bigger, I just want it all to be on one line. All I have to do is click and drag this, and you can see it starts to make room for the rest of the text. To edit the text, so maybe I want to change this so the postal code's not there. You just double click on the text box, and that will allow you to edit and type in here. That, and then of course you just click on it and drag it to reposition that. Back out. And this one doesn't have many details on it. There are some templates that have like number of beds, number of baths, things like that. This one's really good for the purpose of an ad, because if you are running an ad, you don't necessarily want to give away all of the details from the beginning. If I put that this house is 3-bedroom, 3-bath, and I put this up as a Facebook ad, and someone is scrolling through Facebook and they know they need a 4-bedroom house, they're not going to click on it because they know that it doesn't work for them. But in this graphic, it doesn't actually say how many bedrooms there are. And looking at this house, it very well could be 4 bedrooms. And so you're more likely to get more leads and more information because more people are going to click on it to get the information that they're looking for. So again, you want to catch their eye and kind of reel them in without giving them everything right from the beginning, because you want them to click on that. So this is a really good example for a graphic for an ad. Things for your normal Facebook page, you may want to put those details, and that's fine, but totally up to you on that. So I'm going to leave this as is, and we'll just keep it simple and do this graphic here. So once you've finished creating your graphic, you want to make sure that you name it just so you can easily find it again if you need to in your design library. So to rename it, you just click on the name here at the top, and that will let you change it. So I'm going to call it listed. Okay, and so that saved it right away. And now I can either save this to my design library, or I can download it to my computer. And depending what you're using this for, that may affect what you do here. I always like to download it just in case. So I'm going to click on the download button here. Then you choose the file type. So for posting on social media, it'll need to be an image. So either a JPEG or a PNG. Which one you choose does not really matter. PNG tends to be higher quality. So I'm going to choose PNG and then click download. And so that's you're going to see preparing up here as that gets ready to download. And now it's downloaded that to my computer. If you weren't downloading this and you wanted to just save it and work on it later, or you can actually schedule it directly from command, which is really nice to be posted onto your Facebook page, you can just click done, and that's just going to save it into your library. Once you click done, it brings you right back to that initial designs page with that graphic here. So that's the one that we just worked on. And so that's where you can find it. Again, you can search. Once you have a lot of things in here, that'll naming it what it actually is going to make things a lot easier if you're ever looking for it again. Okay. Any questions on that process? No? All right. So we have our graphic done, so that's good. And the next thing I wanted to show you is how to make a single page website to feature your listing. So now this is really beneficial. You don't have to be a web developer to do this. Command makes it very, very easy. And so what a landing page is, and you'll see this in a minute, and the difference between a regular website is a landing page is just somewhere where someone lands when they click the link. So it doesn't direct them anywhere else. When you get to a website, typically there's a menu at the top and there's other things to look at. But a landing page is just to feature that one thing that you're marketing or advertising. So all the focus is on that. So in terms of listings, sellers really like this because they feel you've built a dedicated website just for their listing, and they're really, really easy to make. So that's what I'm going to show you next. And to do that, you go to the consumer tab of Command. So that's the very, very bottom one here. We'll click on that. And you can do this even if you have not set up a KW website yet through here, or you have a website elsewhere. You can still use the landing pages. Like I said, they're standalone, they're by themselves, so they don't actually link to your website. So if you're not using that, that's totally fine. So when you get to the consumer page, you're going to click on create a new page at the top right. This will pop up and ask where you want to create the page. So if you do have an agent website, you can create a page on your agent site. But I'm going to choose a landing page because I'm doing this specifically for lead generation and to advertise my one listing. So just choose as a landing page and then click create page. So it brings you to a blank page here, and there's a few things that you'll want to add for your listing. So on the right-hand side, you see we have some widgets, they call them, which are just little things that you can add in there that you're going to configure and are going to fill in some information. So very first thing is you want to add a branded header. So when I click and drag this and just place it there, that's going to fill in my contact information. So that pulls from your marketing profile. I talk about that a lot. And there's various videos on how to fill that out. If you're not seeing any branding here, that's why you haven't filled anything out in your marketing profile. So just make sure you've done that, and you'll see your branding fill in here. Then we want to put the listing information. So there is a listing widget right here. So I'm just going to click and drag that right under the header. Now you're not going to see any relevant listing information here. This is just a template that's filled in. So that's fine. Just ignore that for now. And as I scroll down, we're also going to put a lead form so that whoever clicks on this page or they get to this page, if they want to reach out to you to get more information about this property, they have a place to do that. So that's this lead form right here. So I just click and drag that under the listing. And when I scroll down, there is this lead form here. Okay, there are other widgets as well. This is really all you need to put there to gather those leads and get that information. But you may want to, if you are using a KW app, there is the download my app link here. And so that looks like this. So if you are looking to get more people downloading your app, you can add that. But I'm going to get rid of that. Let's see. We'll just leave that there for now. Okay, so that's good. We have all of our listing information in there. And now all we need to do is click configure widgets. So it's starting there for some reason. There we go. So normally it brings you right into this page here. And so it has a list of the 4 different things that I added to this page. So first is the branded header. If you want to change anything in here, you can. So it's pulled so it has the KW logo here by default. And because I have the KW select logo uploaded as my Dba logo, that is what's pulling in here. So you can change that if you want. Oh, sorry, that's the team logo that shows there. So if you are on a team, that's what's going to show up. If you've added a team logo in your marketing profile, it's going to show up right there. If you are an individual agent and you've created your own logo, that's also a good place to put it. So you can put it in that team logo spot, even if you're not on a team. And so that's where you'll see that come in. The KW that you see here is coming from the Market Center information, I believe. And so that's where that comes from. So that's all good. I'm going to leave that as is. So I'll click save and apply. Then I can use the arrows to go to the next widget. And the next one is the listing. So now I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to search for my listing by clicking Browse Listings. Switch that to the MLS number and type in the MLS number there. There we go, 14 Sheldrake. So we'll select that. A little slow today. Okay, and all you really need to customize here is what the header image is. So what this main image is going to show. Again, I'm just going to leave this as the main photo, but you want to choose, the best-selling feature of the house to be the first image that shows up. But you can choose any of the photos from your MLS listing. So I'm happy with that. So I'll click Save and Apply. And you'll see this is going to update and change to that listing information. So here we have the main photo, the address, the price, the main details, the description, and then a slideshow of the rest of the photos. So again, it's going to show that main image that you choose at the top. And then down here, you'll have, or whoever's viewing it will have the ability to scroll through all of the different listing photos that are there. The rest of the details are there, the more specific details. And then we have the map there that shows exactly where it's located. If I click the arrow to the next widget, that's my lead form, so that you can change the header text if you want to. You can also leave it as is. I'm just going to leave it. And the last one is the download my app that I added. So the button is going to automatically direct to your app as long as you've set that up. I did a training, I think 2 or 3 weeks ago, about setting up the app. So definitely watch that if you haven't done that, or if you're not seeing a URL show up here. But this is where you can change what this says. So if you want to change the description here or what the button says, you can change that. And so that's good. So we'll click Save and Apply. And so that's the whole landing page. So I'm just going to name it up here. Sheldrake. And I'm going to click Save, which is going to save it as a draft. Okay. As soon as you click Save, it does exit out of the editor and brings you back to your Consumer tab. And to see your landing pages, you just click on that landing page tab at the top. And so my 14 Sheldrake one is right here, and the status is draft. And so if I'm ready to publish that, I can click the 3 dots to go back into that editor and then click that publish button that you saw. I'm going to publish this. No one's ever going to see it because I'm not going to send the super long link to anyone. So no worries on that. And I'll deactivate it right after, but I just want to show you what that looks like. Okay. So I'm going to click publish. Now the status is the button is green here. So you know that that's active, and you have a link to that landing page. So I can click that, which is going to open up the landing page so I can see what that looks like. And so when you direct people to this, this is what they're going to see. So they get all of those property details. Everything's here. They can contact you, and then they can download your app if you choose to add that as well. Okay, so that took maybe 4 minutes to set up, no time at all, and very, very simple. All that information is pulled in. You don't need to add any details. You don't need to write anything. You just choose your listing, and it fills in all of those details. And once you do it once, you can continue to use that for future listings. So once this one sells, I can deactivate it. And then if I get a new listing, all I have to do is edit it, change the listing that's showing there, and send the link out again, and it will update with that new listing. Any questions on landing pages or setting those up?
Jess, where are you posting those links?
Yeah, so that's the next part. So the advertising of the listing. And so what you could do, you can copy this link. You could just post it on Facebook if you're making a post about your new listing, not a paid ad, but maybe you're posting that just listed graphic on your own Facebook. You can copy that link into that Facebook post, and then anyone who wants information, they can click that, and it's going to bring them directly to that page. Basically anywhere that you would normally send a link to realtor.ca or your agent website, you could use this in place of that if that's something that you're looking to do.
I have a question, but it's kind of, well, relevant, irrelevant. You mentioned the marketing profile. What is that?
That's your profile in your command settings. So it's under your name here when you click on settings. And it's where you can fill in, basically you upload your headshot, you fill in your bio, your contact information's all in there. So at the end, I can go through that and how to set that up if you like.
Okay.
Yeah. Right. Any other questions so far? All right. So now we have our graphic and we have a link to actually give people the details about our property. And so we're ready to create either a post or an ad to send that information out to the world. And so hopefully gather some leads and get that information. So the next step would be to go to the campaign section of command, which is the little megaphone here. There's multiple different types of campaigns you can create. We're going to be looking at a paid social Facebook ad today, but there are email campaigns, which if you receive my training emails, the ones that I send out every Friday with the different trainings that are coming up, I use email campaigns for that. So that's where you can create those nice looking emails with like a header and different graphics and buttons and videos and all that kind of stuff. And so those are great if you do monthly newsletters or anything that you're regularly sending out to people in your database. The email campaigns are really nice for that. And there's a whole bunch of templates that you basically just drag and drop and fill in the blanks, and it will build you a newsletter, or you can use them in smart plans, anything like that. So we're not going to dive into that today. We're going to look at the paid ads section right here. Okay, and to create an ad, before you can create an ad, you do need to have payment information added into your command account. So under the payments tab right here, it'll let you add a credit card. And now the nice thing with doing it through command versus going directly on Facebook, one is that your credit card information is stored by Keller Williams and not by Facebook. So Facebook does not have your credit card information if you're running ads through here. Okay, a lot of people feel weary about giving their information to Facebook, which is fair. And so putting it in here just avoids you having to give that information to Facebook. There's some other benefits as well that we'll go through as we're creating the ad, but that's a big one, just keeping that information private and within KW. So all you have to do is click on payments and then add your credit card information in there. So as long as you've done that, then you're ready to click on create campaign at the top. And for this, we're going to choose a social ad. Once you choose the type of ad, this is where you're going to start setting up some details. So the campaign name, I'm going to name this the Sheldrake listed. And then you choose your goal. So there's a few different options here. And while you may think your goal is to advertise this listing, really your goal is to attract buyers. You're looking for someone to buy this listing, but also because we're doing this in order to generate more leads for our own business, attract buyers tends to have the best results for generating more leads. Advertised listing is just going to get it out there and get it seen, but attract buyers is really going to target your average everyday people who would be looking to purchase homes. So that's the best option I can suggest, is to choose attract buyers because it's kind of twofold. You're going to attract a buyer for your listing, hopefully, and also attract other buyers who want to buy other houses. And typically buyers have to sell their house before they buy a house. So that's just a way to generate a lot more business. So once you choose your goal, then you choose where your campaign is going to run. And so you can do Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter. Again, you do need to connect these in your settings, which I can look at the end as well if you haven't done that already. But you do need to have it connected to your Facebook account. Another thing to know as well is you do need to have a Facebook business page in order to run it on Facebook. So if you just have your normal run-of-the-mill Facebook account and you don't have a Facebook business page, you're not going to be able to run this campaign. So just keep that in mind. That is something you'll want to set up. And there is a video on our YouTube channel about setting up a Facebook page. So just something to keep in mind. Same with Instagram. It has to be an Instagram business page. And I believe Twitter just doesn't matter. Twitter's just Twitter. So most people are using Facebook and Instagram nowadays, and I'm just going to stick with Facebook. And Facebook does tend to have the best results. I think Facebook just gets so much more information from people. There's so many more people on there. They just have way more information to use in their targeting. And so with Instagram, you will get leads, just not as many as Facebook. So it's more bang for your buck to use Facebook. So now click Create Campaign, and that's going to bring us into the campaign editor. So the first section here is listing. So again, because I'm advertising a listing, I'm going to click on Add Listing. And this is also connected to the MLS system. So I'm going to change that to MLS number and search the MLS number for my listing. And you do need to change this to all listings instead of only my listings. Because, and the reason for that is, in Canada, we have the MLS feed, which is how all of these listings pull in. And so even though it says that Lindsay's the listing agent, it may not show under your listings because they're just listings from the feed. In the States, they do not have the listing feed, so they have to go into Command and manually input their listings, which then it's in their My Listings section of Command. So that's why you may not see your listing if you just have this set to My Listings. So that's a tip. If you're not seeing it, just change that to all listings and it will most likely show up, unless you've gone into Command and manually inputted this, which there's not much point because it does pull all this information in anyways. So just a little tip on that. So I'm going to click Select beside that listing. And you can see it's already starting to build the ad on the right-hand side. So it's filled in some information here as the caption. So that's actually pulled the very beginning of the overview from the MLS listing. So I don't have to write anything if I'm happy with that. You've already done the work to put that listing up. There's no need to do it all again to write a new caption. So you can use this, you can tweak it a little bit. This is actually a really great caption because it doesn't give away too much information. Like I mentioned with the graphic, you don't want to say this is a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom house, because anyone who needs 4 bedrooms is just going to keep scrolling. But even though this house doesn't work for that person, doesn't mean you can't help them find a new one or a different one. And so that person who wants 4 bedrooms, they're going to click on your ad, you're going to get their information as a lead, then they'll see, oh crap, this doesn't work for us. But you have their information, so you can reach out, you can help them find that 4-bedroom house that they're looking for. Just because this one doesn't work for them doesn't mean that that's not going to be a good lead. And so anything like that, so number of bedrooms, bathrooms, the price is another big one. That's something that would make someone just keep scrolling if they know it's not within their budget. So again, just don't put anything that's sort of those big, non-negotiables that people look for. Don't talk about them in the caption. Just highlight the best features about the property and let them find out once they click on the ad. Okay. So I'm going to leave that one as is. Next is the headline. So that's this text that you see right here. And you only have 25 characters, so you have to be really creative with it. So I always say put like close to amenities or waterfront property or income property, anything that's very short and is just sort of describes the property in as many or as short of characters as you can. So this one I would say is close to amenities, so that's what I'm going to put. There we go. And next is the description. So that's some very small text that's going to get put under here. And most people are going to read the top. They're going to be reading your caption. And so that's where you want the main information about the property to be. But down here in the description, this is a good place to put a call to action. And what that is you're telling them what to do. So when they're looking at your ad, you want them to click more to see all the details. So you're going to write that. Learn more for all property details. We'll catch up in a second. And so I've filled that in there. Once it loads, there we go. So down here it says click learn more for all property details. It sounds silly, but if you tell someone to do something, they're more likely to do it. And so you've told them what you want them to do. They're going to click on that and get all of those details that you have attached to this, or you will attach to this. So that's all the text for our ad. So that's good. So I'm going to click save. And the next section is the media. It comes pre-checked off because it's already filled in a photo. So command considers it done, but you may want to change it. So you can click configure and you can add more images if you want to. So this one here has just the main house image. Maybe you want to add the kitchen. So you can click on add images. Oh, no, we'll stay on choose from listing and find whatever other image you want. If it's a really nice kitchen, or maybe they have a nice backyard, whatever's going to be the best selling features for that house is what you'll want to put here. And I'd say 1 to 3 images is definitely enough. You don't want to give away too much. Again, you want them to kind of leave them guessing and want to click on it and see more. So just show some things that are going to catch their eye. And as you start adding more images, you see over here, it starts creating a carousel ad, is what this is called. So it's going to scroll through. They can look through a few different images, but it's all linked to that same ad. So when they click learn more, it brings them to wherever you're going to send them, which we'll set up in a few minutes. So you can set it up this way with just the listing photos. But if you want to use the graphic that we just made, you can also do that by clicking add images and browse the design library. I have my just listed graphic there. So this is good usually if you have a listing that maybe doesn't have those big wow features that you want to feature. You may want to create sort of a nice graphic, just kind of highlighting some of the main features of the house without putting too much on the appearance, I would say. That would be more for one that, fixer-uppers, things like that. You may want to use a graphic to highlight other details versus just the. Did not know that was still on. So once you have added or created your graphic, you can choose it from here by clicking Browse Design Library. So I can add that just by clicking Preview and Crop Image. And save that. And I mean, you could still use this as the main one and maybe take out that main house photo and just feature some of the other things in here. So you can delete that. And so now the ad has our just listed graphic and then some other photos of the house. So it's up to you which one you want to use. Both work just fine, just based on your preference really and what you think is going to look best for that ad. So I'm going to leave that as is. Then your DBA logo. So again, this pulls from your marketing profile as long as you fill that in. I do not see it there. It's not showing up. If you're not seeing your logo there, I'm not sure why that isn't showing, so I'll look into that. But you can always just click the X on the preloaded one and then just re-upload the correct logo. So that should make it show. There we go. So then it shows it in the bottom. But if you have your logo, that's the nice thing about using the graphic. You already have the logo on there, so you don't need to add it again. So if you had it like this and just a normal photo of the house, you do need to have that logo on there. So just make sure it is showing up from the DBA logo section here. But if you have it on that initial graphic, that's enough. And so I can click the X here. And so we don't need to repeat the logo too many times. Okay. So I'm going to click save on the photos. Next is the Facebook settings. So we have our Facebook account here. So this is because I've connected my Facebook in my command settings. And I just need to choose the page that I'm going to post this ad from. And remember I said you do have to have a Facebook business page. So that's where this comes in. So you can see right now it just has a generic Keller Williams is posting this. But once I select a page, we'll do our office page, that's going to update and show what that's going to look like in people's newsfeed because it has your page information filled in. Next is the destination. So when they click on the ad, what happens? That's where you set this up. So first is the button label. Learn more is really the only one that applies. You do have sign up or apply now, but none of those really are relevant to a listing. So learn more is the best option there. And then you have to enter a destination URL. So once they click on the ad, where is that going to take them? So some people would link it to realtor.ca. I do not recommend that. And that's why we've created that landing page. So when they click on the ad, we're going to set it up so they get directed to that landing page that we created. So I'm going to click on choose landing page and find that one that I created, 14 Sheldrake right here. So I just click on that, and that's going to fill in the URL. Now, if you are using your own website, you could find that listing on your own website and put that here as the URL. And that or a landing page would be the best options. And because when they click on it, if they decide that listing's not for them and they start, looking around at other listings, if they're on your website, you're going to get that lead regardless of which property they say they're interested in, because all of it's linked to you. But if you link them to your listing on realtor.ca and they start looking at other properties, they're just directed to the listing agent. You've lost them at that point, right? So if you're looking to generate leads, that's the best option, is direct them somewhere where if they're interested in any other properties, you're still going to get that information because you're the one paying for the ad and trying to generate those leads. You don't want to give them away to someone else. So that's why we've done that landing page. But again, a page on your website is more than enough. And one thing I did skip over here is right under destination, we have the Facebook lead generation form. We also have a site or landing page. There's two options here when they click on the ad. Either you can make it so they click on it and it just brings them to that landing page. They get all the details and they can contact you at the bottom, like we put that contact form in. That's one option. Or if you use the Facebook lead generation form, when they click on that ad, before it will even let them view the landing page, they have to fill in their name, email, and phone number. Facebook and their phone typically already know this information and will autofill it in. And so it makes it much more work for them to backspace all of the real info and put fake info in there. So it increases the likelihood that you're going to get leads that the contact information is actually accurate, which is nice. And they can't see the details until you get their information as a lead. So if you choose site or landing page, and both do work. I mean, there's arguments for using the lead generation form because you'll always get the lead no matter what, but it's going to turn people off because some people don't want to give their information to see the property. If they see they have to put in their name and email, they might just click out of it and not even open it because it's not worth it. I can just go Google that listing, right? And so you may do an ad. If let's say you're going to spend $30, you may do 2 ads at $15 and test both ways and see what works. You need to test out what's working for people who your ad is being targeted to. So there's definitely pros and cons to both. But I'm going to do the lead generation form just because that's the default. And so when someone clicks on this, it's going to pop up, they fill in their info, and then it brings them to my landing page regardless. Okay. Lastly is the audience in this section. So we do have an auto audience, which is what I recommend. Facebook and Keller Williams built this section of command together. So this has been built with real estate in mind. It's targeted specifically for people looking for real estate. When we chose that we were looking to attract buyers, that's what sort of differentiates who is targeted and where this ad is going to go. And so the auto audience is always going to be sort of casting a wide net, I would say. You don't want to get too specific because everyone wants to buy a house. I mean, they might not want to buy this house, but they might want to buy a house at some point. And so targeting it specifically to people who are interested in real estate right now may not be the best option because someone may want to buy in 6 months and you want to be already talking to them, right? So you want to cast a wide net and try to get as many leads as you can, and then you can weed through them and figure out who are the sort of good leads, you could say, and the ones who will actually turn into business. And the other ones, I mean, they may not work out, but if you're reaching out to them, you're still going to be more top of mind than some other random person that has never reached out to them. So auto audience is definitely the best. Then you choose your location. So if command does not recognize the town or the neighborhood that this is in, it's going to default to Austin, Texas. So just keep an eye out for that. So I can change this just by typing in Canada. And then I can target it to the location. So maybe I'm targeting it to Halifax. That's fine. Maybe you're targeting it to Toronto or somewhere where you're seeing a lot of out of province buyers. If this was a different type of property, like a cottage or a summer home, for example, you might target it to Europe or other places that people tend to buy property here for vacation homes, things like that. So just depending on the type of leads you want to generate or the type of listing it is, you may change where you're targeting the ad. But I'm going to do Halifax just again for simplicity, but you can run it in any location in anywhere in the world. And your radius, so how far from Halifax do I want this ad to go? So right now it defaults to 25. You can do up to 80 kilometers, that's the maximum. So if you want to cast an even wider net and get maybe all of Nova Scotia versus just 80 kilometers from Halifax, you're going to need to run multiple ads. So maybe one like in Yarmouth, one in Halifax, and then one in Sydney, and do a big radius. You can only choose one location, unfortunately. So that is the auto audience. There are other options. You can do a custom audience. So that would be if you want to target specific people. Again, I don't recommend it for your standard house because, I mean, anyone could want to buy a house. But if this was a specific type of property, I know, Lindsay, you've done sort of hobby farms or places where there's spots for horses or things like that. You may target people who are interested in horses or livestock or things like that to get into their newsfeed specifically. But anything that's just, you know, your normal single family detached house or anything that your typical buyer would want to buy, you don't want to use any custom audiences. But one thing you can do once you've done a lot of ads and generated leads is you can target your own database. And so if you've already done, let's say 5 ads and gathered, we'll say 100 total leads, they may not have bought yet. And so you can actually choose to target your own database and get those ads into those people's news feeds again, so that they're seeing you again, because they've already clicked on your ad before, they may be interested in this one, and so they're going to get it in their feed. So just those, you kind of do have to have a few done and have some leads generated, but you can also use that to target people in your own sphere as well. So if you are adding your own family and friends and people from other jobs and things like that, you can set it to target them as well in Facebook. And so all you have to do is have them in your contacts, and there is that Facebook profile link, and you can link it to their Facebook, which will let you target to them. So there's some different ways to do targeting. Again, auto audience is just the most simple one, especially if you're just getting started and trying to figure out what works. Use the auto audience until you've done a few, and then you can go into custom, and you can save those custom audiences as well to use in future ads. On the right-hand side, you're also going to see the audience definition. So you want to try and keep the audience in the green here. We're still in the green, we're at the high end, but you want to make it so it's not too broad, but also not too specific. So keeping it in the green here just means that you're going to reach a good amount of people. It's not going to be too broad that no one's going to be interested in it, and it's not going to be too specific that you're reaching the wrong people. So just keep an eye on that. We'll click save. Next is the lead settings. So what do you want to happen to the leads that you gather from this campaign? First is auto tag. This is something that you'll definitely want to set up before you start creating your ad, but you can create tags to be added to those leads once they get put into your contacts. So if you've never run an ad and you don't know, when someone clicks on it and you get their information as a lead, you'll get a notification in command, and they'll also be added to your contacts in command and marked as a lead. And so you can also set it to tag that contact that gets created. So if you're looking through them, you know where that person came from. So I might create a tag called 14 Sheldrake Facebook ad, so that I always know who came from that Facebook ad, which one they clicked on. Of course, you can go in and see where they came from in the timeline, but that just sort of puts it at a quick glance when you're looking through your database and makes it really easy to see where they came from and really easy to contact everyone about that property. Maybe you get 10 leads for 14 Sheldrake, it's pending tomorrow, and then that deal falls. You might want to send an email to those 10 people that were interested in it to let them know, hey, it's back on the market. And so if you have a tag on them, it makes it very easy to do that. Smart plans are also great. So you can use smart plans to automate the follow-up from this ad. And so this is something you would need to set up ahead of time as well. And next week I am doing a training on how to follow up and convert leads. And so we'll talk about these a little bit, but you can create it so when someone clicks on that ad, they're going to get an email from you saying, hey, I saw you were interested in that listing. Is there any information that you needed, or did you want to go see it? Whatever. You can create a smart plan with that email, assign it here. So I have one that is my Facebook lead follow-up. And now when anyone clicks on this ad, they're going to automatically start getting the emails or text messages or whatever you've put into that smart plan. Okay. If you don't attach a smart plan, just remember it's up to you to follow up with those leads. They're not going to get anything unless you send them an email or a text message. So if you want to save yourself some time, highly recommend using a smart plan to at least get that initial email out, so they feel like you're, working for them and helping them as well. So just put a random tag here. That one, for example. Click save. And the last thing is duration and budget. So this is where you choose how much you want to spend. And so you choose how long you want the ad to run. In this market for listings, typically you'll probably do a bit shorter. You may do the same budget. You'll reach more people in a shorter amount of time instead of spreading it out. But you don't want to do it too long if you expect that that house is going to get an offer in a week, let's say. So you may only want to do a week. So I'm going to change this to 7 days. Then you set your budget. So how much do you want to spend over the 7 days? I have $30. So that's going to assign a daily budget of $4.29. Now keep in mind, this is American. So if you see $30, it's probably going to charge you 40, 45-ish, depending on the exchange rate. So just keep that in mind. And if you decide to, you do have the option to pause the ad after. So if, let's say, we run this ad for 7 days and tomorrow I get an accepted offer, I don't want to keep running it, I can pause the ad. And so that's going to take it down. It's not going to keep spending any more money. And when that 7 days is up, if you haven't sort of reinstated that ad, anything that you don't spend will get put back on your account as a credit. So you will get charged the $30 the day you start the ad. But if you only spend $5, you're going to get $25 back as a credit towards your next ad. Okay. So click save. And so if you're happy with that ad, all you have to do now is click publish campaign. I'm not going to do that because I'm not an agent and I'm not going to advertise Lindsay's listing. So I'm going to click save draft. Are you sure you want to save? Yes. If you click publish, it will say, are you sure you want to publish it? And then it will bring you back to your dashboard. So this is your paid campaigns dashboard. We have our ad that we just created here with the status as draft. Duration is 7 days. And we've spent $0 because it's still a draft. So if we would have clicked publish, you would see the status would be, I believe it's in progress or something pending, something along those lines. And that means that you're just going through that approval process through Facebook. So Facebook will review every single ad to make sure it meets their advertising guidelines. And as long as it does, you'll see that the ad will start on the next day. So you can see the duration is actually June 3rd. It's only the 2nd right now because it's going to start at midnight tonight, as long as it gets approved. And so you're not going to see that go out right away. It does take a little bit of time. So just keep that in mind, plan ahead a little bit. If you need that ad to go out today, do it yesterday. So that's just a good tip that I can give. To pause the ad, like I mentioned, you would just click on these 3 dots here and you'd have an option to pause campaign. You do that, it's just going to stop spending your money and it will put that in for, or that amount back as a credit once the ad is done. You'll start seeing some numbers here as well. This is cost per impression. So an impression is how many people have seen it in their newsfeed. How many did it just show up and they scrolled by it? Cost per click means they actually clicked on the ad. And cost per lead means they clicked on the ad and they gave you their info. So it just kind of lets you track how far you're getting, how well the ad's working. If you see that your impressions are high and your clicks are high, but you're not getting a lot of leads, that means that lead generation form is probably turning people off. You can kind of figure out what's working and what's not just based on the numbers that you see here. Or if you're getting a lot of impressions, but not a lot of clicks, maybe there's something in your ad that's stopping people from clicking, or it's not eye-catching enough. Those kind of things will help you make those decisions and tweak your next ad to work a little bit better. So Those are just some of the metrics that you'll see there. Okay. So that kind of brought it full circle. We put the graphic that we made as the main photo. We linked it to the landing page that we created here. So once they click on the ad, it brings them into this page, and then they can send you their info, or if you had the lead generation form, you would have their info already. So that is sort of the best way. I mean, there's many other things you can do for listings in Command. There's print graphics if you were doing door knocking, all types of things. There's email campaigns for your database, but this is just the best way to, very easily put that out there and get the listing information out to people who don't already follow you or know you. So you can get their information and hopefully help them buy or sell in the future.